Hello, my name is Dean Contover, and thank you for watching The Current Buzz. Today we have Ed Kennedy, a senator from Lowell, Massachusetts. He's not basically Chelmsford's senator, but he's here every Saturday. There's a good reason for it.
Yes.
His grandchildren live in Chelmsford. Is that right?
That's right.
And you have a daughter that is an attorney. Does she practice in Chelmsford or is she in Boston?
She actually practices. She does, I guess you'd call it internet law. So she and a couple of other attorneys provide legal counsel for startup companies. Basically,
Wow.
That's what they do.
Wow, that's cool. That's good. You want to say hi to your grandchildren?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just say hello. I am up here every Saturday in Chelmsford every Saturday, usually Saturday mornings, either for basketball games or for soccer games or whatever. And I do have to say that Chelmsford has an excellent youth program for just about every kind of sport. So
Yeah.
I'm always happy to be here. And my two, my 8-year-old grandson, my oldest one is Jackson, and then I have a 6-year-old grandson, his brother Braden. Okay. And I have a third grandson, but he's in York, Maine, so we'll leave him out today because you're not going to show this up in York, Maine. Right?
You never know. I mean, they may request it, so right. It's just, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a long time. I've known Ed for, before time.
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
Before time. We're a big Rolling Stones fans, so we talk about the Rolling Stones.
Right.
Speaking of that, are they doing a tour in the United States?
I don't know. They did a tour of Europe last year, and I'm really hoping that they end up doing a North American tour this year. But they'll probably announce that sometime in the early spring if they're going to do that. But I'm hopeful, as you are. I've seen the Rolling Stones more than 20 times, and I know that you've seen them quite a bit.
Probably half that. Yeah.
And hanging in my office is a poster that you brought back, right?
From Europe.
From
Czechoslovakia.
Yeah. So I've still got that, and it's, thank you very much for that.
That's rare, believe me. Because
absolutely.
On the poster, it says the tanks are rolling out and the Stones are rolling in.
That's right.
On the poster.
Yeah.
So that just alone is. And there's only two of them. You have one, and I have one.
Okay.
So, and I have a smaller one that's framed.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, that's. Now,
where is that? Where is that, by the way? Where is that poster that I gave you? It's a full-size poster.
It's in my office. It's hanging in my office.
At the State House?
It was at the State House. Now it's in my office in my house.
Okay.
And right next to it is another poster of Tuckerman Ravine.
Okay.
So I've got two or
so
three. I've got all my favorite things.
Are you trying to get the Rolling Stones the Song of Serena, or should we spread a rumor?
You can spread the rumor. I suppose the rumor wouldn't, as long as nobody holds it against me if they don't come there.
Okay, let's talk about the baseball game, the Spinners. You want to say something?
Yeah, before that, I just want to say, in preparation for coming on your show today, my staff did a little bit of research. And so we came up with the Senate citation, which if I can read it.
For me?
No, it's not for you.
Oh, okay.
It's a official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Sylvia Contover.
Oh, my mother.
In recognition of the happy occasion of your 106th birthday. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, and this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to by a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate, and it's signed by the President of the Senate and myself and the Clerk of the Senate. And I thought your mother. I know it's a few weeks late, right? I think.
No. It's next couple of days. I don't want to say the particular date.
Okay. So
thank you very much. I mean, it's a surprise. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My mother's 106 years old, believe it or not, and she's ambulatory, so she's doing very well. Thank you.
That's amazing to make that. Yeah.
She said she wanted to have breakfast with you someday.
Okay.
So we'll set that up.
We can do that.
Yeah, that's good. The Spinners. What's the story on the Spinners in Lowell? What's happening there?
Well, the Spinners obviously are gone as the New York Penn League is out of business.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And there was an effort by the city and others to try to bring the AA Red Sox affiliate to Lowell, but that didn't really pan out. And so I think the latest plan is to turn the Lasher Park over to the University of Lowell. The University of Lowell then would spend some money on renovating the park. But the university is also interested in, there are 5 or 6 vacant parcels around the park. And so and that have been transferred from the Commonwealth to the UMass Building Authority. And so they're looking to develop, they call that the East Campus up there. And so they're looking to develop that part of the campus.
There's not very much property in that area.
There's more than what you would think, Dean, because when you look around, there's there's the parking lot across the street, but there's the property that Notini used to have.
Yeah, right.
Heading down towards.
But that's a soccer field now.
Right, but it's still there are 5 parcels there that could be that DCAM control, the Commonwealth control.
I see. Okay.
That have been transferred over, and those are the parcels that they would be looking to do some substantial development, which would be beneficial to the city and to the university over the next several years. So hopefully that will happen, and I think that's the latest plans. For the Lasher Park, I don't see, on the horizon at least, I don't really see a professional baseball team, certainly not a Red Sox affiliate, coming there over the next few years. But
I mean, they have Worcester. Why would they,
they've got Worcester, and then they've got Portland, too. So in some ways, you would think that it would be good to have it, keep it kind of compact. But anyways, I think they've got a really good deal down in Salem, and so it's hard.
Explain what Salem is. It's AA versus Spinners with single A short season.
Yeah, Spinners were single A short season. Portland is, I think, single A long season. Worcester is the AAA club that used to be down in Rhode Island.
Portland's double A, isn't it?
Worcester's AAA.
Worcester's AAA, that's right.
And then the AA club is the one that Lowell was trying to attract and wasn't able to do so for. It probably didn't make sense for the Red Sox to do that.
Where would you find parking, though? That's the whole thing. I mean, it's kind of crunched in there.
It is kind of crunched in. And it's somewhat remote to the interstate, too. In other words, once you get off, if you come from out of town, once you once you leave the highway, you have to kind of snake your way through Lowell to get to the Lasher Park. And and that could be somewhat challenging for people, and especially if everybody's leaving at the same time. You have a bunch of cars leaving at the same time. That can create a problem.
I knew people would come up 95, and I think they would take 113 from along the river, and that's pretty easy.
Yeah. It's easy, and it's that's pretty direct.
Yeah.
And I think probably easier for a lot of people to do. But what will the future of the Lasher Park probably remains to be seen. Hopefully, it'll be a bright one. But in the short term, that park will belong to the university.
In the Lowell Sun, dated January 24th, it's Tuesday, it says Kennedy files bill to offset school construction overruns. In case people in Lowell don't know, they're building a new school or redoing the new Lowell High School.
Right. In Lowell, they're building.
Explain that. Yeah.
In Lowell, they're building they're building a new high school downtown, which will be a $380 million high school. And so recently, in going out to bid for the building materials, what happened was the materials for steel and I think wood and probably drywall came in much higher than what was anticipated. And so
plus COVID.
Well, and I think COVID's what caused the spike in the prices, yes. But because of the price increase, it's like it was 38 more than Lowell had anticipated. And Lowell's not the only one. I mean, I talked maybe a year ago or so, I talked to the mayor of Somerville because I knew that they had just finished building a $250 million high school. Kind of the same deal. They were building it on, where the existing high school was while kids were going to high school and everything, and it worked out fine. But they had, for the same reason as Lowell, they had a $30 million deficit, which they just bonded for. And I happen to know that Stoneham is $19 million behind for the same reason. And just very recently, Dunstable Groton is building or I should say, is building an elementary school out there, and that's about $16 million over. So there are, I don't know how many communities there are, but there are communities that really got hit through no fault of their own, just with the price increase. And I've had discussions with the MSBA. Other senators have had similar discussions and state reps with the MSBA, and the MSBA really didn't have the wherewithal to do anything about it. In other words, we cut the deal with Lowell. Lowell's all done, and we're moving on to the next one. And if you've got to deal with the $38 million. But I think there's been enough discussion that that they may be rethinking and wondering whether or not they can do it. So this legislation, hopefully, it will pass, but it will, at the very minimum, force a discussion on the issue, and so we'll see how that goes. But I'm hopeful that we can get some money, some ARPA money, to make up some of that. To infuse, maybe not all of it, but maybe a good little chunk of it.
So who gives the this board or whatever the money? You guys do, right?
The MSBA gets their money through the sales tax in Massachusetts.
Oh, just the sales tax.
Just the sales tax, so that for every sales transaction, 1 penny goes to the MSBA. And you think, well, geez, how many pennies can there be? But you're talking about the entire Commonwealth, every single sales transaction where there's a sales tax, 1 penny goes to the MSBA, and that's the money that they use.
That's all, 1 penny?
Which in the aggregate, it ends up being, $1 billion.
No, I understand that. I mean, it's just like a gas tax. 1 penny is $1 billion, basically.
Yeah. So, so anyways, that's kind of that's what the MSBA does, and the MSBA really didn't have any interest in doing anything beyond what they've already done for Lowell and for those other communities that I mentioned. But I think that, and I'm hopeful that because of this legislation, that we will be able to get some money, at least maybe not the whole $38 million, but a good chunk of that money for the Commonwealth, for the city of Lowell.
Right, that would be good for the city. I mean, is there any possibility to raise it up 2 pennies? I mean, and because there are a lot of old schools that need to be done. I mean, I know Chelmsford is requesting a middle school, and hopefully it'll be built by the time your grandchildren get there.
Well, the problem that we just talked about is a retro problem. It's for school projects that were previously approved that have unforeseen increases. Going forward with new projects, the amount of money that the MSBA allows per square foot is only probably about half what the market bears. So let's say that the MSBA caps at, I don't have the exact numbers, but say $340 a square foot. Where the actual in the market, it needs to be north of $600 a square foot. So I think that they've recently come to recognize that, and they're going to adjust that, and that will be good going forward. But that doesn't help for the communities that got stuck with the material, the cost increases for materials during the COVID
I mean,
time.
because that has to be planned in the building, but you guys didn't know that, and you didn't know there was going to be a shortage of wood, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, nobody knew.
No one knew.
So
no one expected it.
Yeah.
And those things happen in construction. And then there's always changes, right?
Yeah, but I also serve on the high school building committee. I've been on that committee for more than 5 years.
Let me ask you this one. Is there any children, any students on that committee? And should there be?
No.
All right.
There are no students on it. Whether or not there should be one, I'm not sure that would matter so much at this point. I think there was a time when there was another group that looked at what the high school needed. Excuse me, it was like a vision committee, and they were charged with putting together, just looking at what they needed in the building. So, how many offices do we need? How big do the offices need to be? How many restrooms do we need? Where do they need to be? What else do we need? And so to make sure that that when the high school was being built, it was going to be built right. And when that information that they accumulated ended up going to Skanska, and they used that in putting together the high school. So I think when the high school's done, everybody will be very happy with it. I think it's going to be pretty spectacular.
Are you going to allow tours of it for former alumni of Lowell High School to take a tour of the building? Or?
I would imagine that's not my job. That would be the school.
Why wouldn't it be? I'd like to take a tour with you through the high school.
Well, maybe we can get together and go on the same tour.
Oh,
but,
okay.
They didn't.
A
at
walking
least so
tour.
far, they haven't put me in charge of the tours. I suspect they're not gonna.
Ed, I'd love to take a tour with you. I'd like to change the subject in regards to committees. You were a chair of the Tourist Committee, Tourism, Arts, and Culture. Tell me about that. I mean, do movie companies come to you in regards to filming or where they would like to film, that type of thing?
Well, I am the chairman or the co-chair. There's a house chair too. It's a joint committee.
Okay.
For tourism, arts, and cultural development, and so I've had the committee come up to Lowell to visit. I've had the executive director for the Mass Cultural Council come up and look at some venues in Lowell, and other places. And I've also had the opportunity to visit venues in other communities around the Commonwealth. So it's been an interesting committee, and I think given the amount of arts, culture, and cultural development that we have in Lowell and the Lowell area, it's a good committee for me to be on. I have requested a change, but whether or not that change comes remains to be seen. So, but I won't be unhappy if I remain on that committee. It's a pretty fun committee too.
Yeah,
right?
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, can we do ads on TV to come to Lowell or something like that, or Greater Lowell or Merrimack Valley or something?
Well, that wouldn't be my committee. That would be that'd be the Office of Travel and Tourism that would do that.
The Office
that would put that together. And
I'd like to get them on my show.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Do you know the chair, the person, the commissioner?
The director, yes.
You do? Okay.
And she does a great job, and I hope that she stays. But with the change in administration, there's a possibility that that there'll be a new executive director. But what I'll do is once that settles down, whether it's her name's Keiko, whether it's Keiko or the new director, I'll try to put you in touch with them so you can have them on your show.
Oh, good. Folk Festival, that's another thing in regards to tourism. How's that going since COVID?
Folk Festival's good. I mean, when I was mayor, I was a big proponent for having a festival every month in the city.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I think it's really good. It does a couple of things. It brings new people into the city to experience Lowell, but beyond that, it also lets people in Lowell feel good about their community. And so, we've got the Folk Festival, we've got an African festival, Cambodian festival, an Indian festival. We've got the Kinetic Sculpture Race, which is one of my very favorites. And then there's Winterfest. And so we're just about...
I mean, you have Puerto Rico Festival, right? I think there's...
Yes.
Was?
Yep, there is. And then, of course, there's the Jack Kerouac Festival,
that's right.
which I feel...
Let's talk about that in regards to the museum.
Well, I'd like to see that grow and get bigger than what it is. I mean, I think there's more appreciation for Jack Kerouac on an international and national basis than maybe what there is locally. But I think that could be a big draw for the city, and the city is maybe not taking advantage of the way that they should.
We should, if we could, you could sponsor a letter in regards to Jack Kerouac stamp and have a dear colleague letter go out.
Okay.
And get that done.
Who's the chairman of that committee?
Well, it'd be an ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke. I'm sorry, but about ad hoc committee, but that goes back years.
Right.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to send that down to Washington and ask them to have a Jack Kerouac stamp, and that would propel people, you know, to come to Lowell, et cetera.
Right.
You know, just like the sign on 495.
Right.
You know.
So, you know, one other piece of legislation that I filed for this term that I'd like to talk about, if it's okay, is the, you know, we talked about the MSBA and how they provide money to schools, to communities to build schools. I filed legislation that would create there's two bills that I filed that are almost exactly the same. One would do the same thing, but instead of for schools, it would do it for public safety buildings, so police and fire stations. And then the other bill is the same as that bill, except that it doesn't just do police and fire stations. It would also include libraries, senior centers, and other municipal buildings. And I think there's a lot of communities in the Commonwealth that it would be a big burden for them to build a police station or a fire station. It's a lot of money for those communities, and so if the Commonwealth can give a helping hand, then I think that that's certainly worthwhile, and I would expect that would be a pretty popular piece of legislation. So, where schools would be, usually new schools are in the $200 to $300 million range.
Wow, yeah. These days, with the electronics and so forth that you need.
And we're funding that with a penny from the sales tax. The police and fire stations are more in the, say, $50 to $60 million range, so they don't need a whole penny. They would only need half a penny from the sales tax. So, that.
Why can't we get it from gambling? I mean, that's another thing.
Well, it
that's
can come from gambling. I mean, that would be it would be up to Ways and Means to decide where it came from. If they thought it was a smarter idea to take it from gambling.
I mean, that's going to boom in this state.
If they thought it was smarter to take it from gambling, that would be absolutely okay with me. So see how that, see what happens with that.
I mean, a penny from the gambling tax or whatever, marijuana tax, I mean, that's nothing.
Right.
I mean, they're making billions and billions of dollars. I mean.
Yeah.
So.
And this is, I think every community struggles with a $50 or a $60 million building project, but certainly out in the central and western part of the state, where there's a lot of smaller communities, with populations say under 12,000, that's a big deal for them. They don't have the tax base to support that, and so. Anyways, I'm hopeful that this bill will pass, and I think it would be great for everybody, every community in the Commonwealth.
I mean, some of those police stations, fire stations are made out of wood, and things have changed in regards to security, et cetera.
Right. Lowell, and probably almost every gateway
city
Lowell
needs a new
fire stations that were built in the 19th century.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. That's true. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from in that respect, and we both love Lowell, and it's just one of those things that you like to see do well.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good example of what could be done is out in Groton, which I represented up until January of this year. They built this big fire station, probably bigger than what you would think they would need in Groton, but they can also use it for assemblies. So, for instance, I was out there I think it was a Memorial Day event, and because of the weather, they held it in the, they just drove the trucks out, and then they had all this space, and it's like having a little auditorium.
Huh.
And so we were able to do the event inside. So it can be.
We do have a little auditorium at our police station here.
Yeah.
It seats. What, 100, the last 50? I don't know.
Well, you probably could have put 200 or 300 in this fire station, but multi-use that makes sense for a lot of reasons. So I think it's a good idea, and I think hopefully we can get that done.
Yeah, the show is over, and I want to talk to you about Greece and your time there and your experiences there. Next show.